So, little funny story. Back in 2019, when the CyberTruck presentation happened and they opened the, I guess, reservations, I did a pretty interesting thing. I put down $100 in Japan and put my name down for one of these things. And fast forward 5 years, I haven't heard anything from Tesla over in Japan, if that's even going to happen for Japan. I'm still quite doubtful that they will ever get to homologate something so disproportionate for Japanese roads. But here I am, 5 years after that fact, and John from Anime Matsuri has thrown me, well, not the keys, the actual card, to have a little play around with his own CyberTruck. I got it for a couple of hours. I'm very confused because it's possibly the most outside experience you could ever have with a car. Like, you think you've driven everything, and then you step into something like this, and everything feels alien. Right down to the steering, especially the steering, which I'm really trying to get used to. I've been driving for about 10 minutes. I'm just gonna basically, bring you guys into this really special experience for me to have this interesting take on automotive transportation, I guess. I don't know what the hell this thing is. But yeah, just come and join me. We'll have a little play around with CyberTruck today and kind of find out what it's all about. Right, so first of all, yes, it has been wrapped. This was the exact CyberTruck that we saw at the Anime Matsuri convention. It's been wrapped in a Gundam type livery. You can see all the naming, Darium alloy. It goes right back onto the bed cover here. And it's pretty simple. Like, as you saw in the demonstrations, this is actually a built-in tannoy cover that electrically opens like this with a little simple switch. So you hold it down until it gets right there to the top. And that allows people from the inside to see through that tiny little letterbox window at the back. So without the tannoy cover open, the little tiny rearview mirror inside is pretty pointless. Then you hit this little button and the bed cover opens up, and there is your full access to the bed. And of course, what makes this CyberTruck extremely useful, right down to this little thing here. So if you open up here, you have 220 volt outlets and one 240 volt outlet. So you can literally power your house. All right, so this doesn't actually close electrically. You have to close it manually. And then once that is done, you can once again hold down the button and close everything up. Another Tesla going by. I mean, it still blows my mind that we're in Texas, oil country, and yet there are so many Teslas around. I even got to see maybe another 5 CyberTrucks. I even got a ride this morning in another CyberTruck. A friend that lives out here in Houston took me out in his. Same spec as this one. This is a tri-motor foundation edition, so it's the really powerful one, 850 horsepower, infinite torque, and of course, gigantic 35-inch tires, 4-wheel steering, and that really interesting, super quick electric rack. And of course, there is a frunk out here. We'll take a look later on. That gigantic wiper. It's probably like easily over a meter long. Wow, that is massive. So you can't really see the actual stainless steel panels. You got to open the doors for that. You press the button here on the B-pillar. The door latch unlocks, and then there is the exposed stainless steel. It's really strange to be actually seeing this kind of metal on a car. Very much like a DeLorean. I do love this little touch here. The CyberTruck kill plate here, basically welded to kind of expose that CyberTruck logo. And the interior is very much Tesla. Extremely simple, extremely angular, very, very minimalistic in design. And of course, something I'm still getting used to, the yoke. Right, hit that button on the C-pillar and you have access to the rear. Notice how the door actually opens a full 90 degrees here to allow easy access. And there you have your rear bench, 3 seats, 3 seat belts. So it is a 5-seater. Occupants back here get their own little screen with various controls for audio, seat heating. I'm not sure if it has cooling back here. And of course, ventilation. Oh yeah, and then it's all a massive glass roof. All right, so let's do a little walk around so you see the entirety of it. First thing that really struck me when I first saw the CyberTruck is just how long it is. The wheelbase is absolutely gigantic, and that's probably the reason why they kind of adapted the rear wheel steer to actually get this very long thing to clear corners. And yeah, of course, the roofline is extremely bizarre when you see it up close, but it does make for a very low vehicle. It's, you know, compared to some of the big full-size trucks out here in the States, I wouldn't dare call it compact, but it's definitely lower. And especially when you drive it, you don't have that kind of like sitting in the air kind of feel. But enough looking at the exterior in 40-degree heat. Let's head inside and have a little drive. So this is one of the two color options. This has the white highlights around the door trim and lower dash panel. All around here is where the air climate control shoots out air, so you don't need to worry about vents or anything. Massive long dash all the way to the top of the massive flat windscreen here. Little tiny rearview mirror that does pretty much nothing when the cover is closed at the back. And then you have the little sun visors here, foldable. You can get them out of the way. You got your hazard up here, nicely integrated LED lights, and of course at the back, that skylight, or rather glass roof. One cool thing, of course, is the wireless charging. You just drop your phone in there and it charges immediately. And pretty much everything in the car, except for a few little simple tiny buttons here. So everything is controlled through the center screen. Once you put your foot on the brake, you have the selector for the gear, so slide back for reverse, slide forward for drive, and you tap it, it goes into park. Very simple, but a little bit hard to get used to if you're coming from a regular car. And then you have the layout of the truck in front of you. You got your phone controls, you got your music, your cameras, a bunch of apps come up here. You even have the owner's manual at a finger tap away, Bluetooth menu, and your map, which is probably the most useful, most used thing you're going to be probably holding on the screen. When you're parked up, you probably play some games. All right, so with that said, put it into drive and let's get out of here. Your rearview mirror is a camera up here. That also takes a bit of time to get used to, as do these very interestingly shaped mirrors. I'm gonna head back to Houston, central Houston, and in the process bring you guys with me for this little interesting ride. Well, I was wondering how this wiper would perform in rain, and luckily enough it started raining. I don't know how it's raining because it's blue skies all around, but the wiper keeps turning on by itself and wiping across this gigantic glass. You can see the path almost clears the entire passenger side as well. So it does the job well. It's like anything I've seen. Pulling right behind another Tesla. So it's actually quite interesting how Tesla allows the car to stop by itself. I know in Japan, Nissan and Toyota have issues with this. They've removed the auto stop feature from cars, and of course you can make right turns on red in the US, something Japan should probably adopt as well. So this is what your screen will look like most of the time. You're entering a school zone here, so I need to slow down to 20, back off the throttle, and it automatically slows down for you, and you see basically the same view outside of traffic displayed with icons on the screen. So basically the self-drive feature is always analyzing what is in front of you and representing the basics, mainly the cars, stop signs, buses, cyclists, pedestrians on the screen. The suspension are way firmer than I thought. They do crash on the bigger potholes and expansion joints, but then again, Houston roads are possibly the worst roads I've ever encountered in the world. So the craziest thing is how this steering reacts. So it's so responsive, like basically lock to lock. So that's full lock and full lock the other way. So you can imagine how, I wouldn't say unnatural, but overly responsive it feels. Something you have to really get used to. It's very much speed sensitive too, so if you kind of do it gently, it does it gently for you, but if you really go for it, you can actually see the rear tires steer. Let me see if I can zoom in. You can see the rear tires steering in the back. All right, I'm going to do a little demo of the acceleration once the road clears. So currently doing, let me do 30 to 50. So just floor it, and there it is, instant. It's just incredible how quickly something so big just packs on power. It's just mind-boggling how they managed to do this. And you know, it kind of shrinks around you when you drive it. I've noticed that it feels just like a regular car after about 5-10 minutes that you're driving it. I think it's just the length of it that you kind of need to be wary of when doing kind of wider or tighter turns rather. Always keep a look on the rearview mirror. And of course you back off the throttle and it brakes by itself. So back to 50 we go. That's ridiculous. That is absolutely wild. Oh man, be sick to have this in Japan. Cruises really well. I love how everything is on the steering wheel here, or yoke rather. And whenever you want to catch up to cars, you just floor it. Look how close this little Wrangler is gonna get as soon as I floor it. Ready? 3, 2, 1. Boom. Crazy. My ride with the CyberTruck is over. I'm back at the hotel. I spent most of the afternoon with this thing. Hope you enjoyed joining me in this really interesting experience of trying a CyberTruck. It's blown my mind. Very interesting truck. Do I want it? Probably. In Japan, even more so. I don't know. We'll see. Hope you enjoyed this little part of the vlog.